All right. Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
Good.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
Good.
So I just want to, we're all on the West Coast, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's convenient.
I bet it's convenient. I know it's still, you can see the sunlight in some of our shots here.
Yes.
That is true. I know, and we had a drought. I mean, what has it been like in Vegas, like 120 days or something without rain?
It's
Oh
been
my
goodness.
really
Wow.
crazy. And yeah, like normally sometime between 4th of July and like early to mid-August, we get what we call monsoon season here, and it rains a whole bunch. And we haven't had that yet this year. It just,
I know.
one of my friends said it's non-soon season.
Well, I'm just glad that you all in Vegas have not melted away, because I know Southern California,
Yes.
we're going through a major heat wave. I can't even imagine how hot it
Oh
is
my
out
gosh.
there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've
We're
broken
equipped
record
for the heat
temperatures.
wave is the difference. Like we have 2-story houses that have 2 air conditioning units for just that reason.
Wow.
Yeah, because I just saw, I think it was in Death Valley the other day, they set the world record, right, for highest temperature ever on Earth, 130 degrees or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That
Yep.
is just, I can't even,
Ooh.
I can't even imagine that. That is insane to me.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
does it even feel like? Like that's just crazy.
Yeah.
It really is. So, Crystal, I just want to real quick just bring up because, so Crystal, you've got something pretty cool coming up this weekend, right?
Yeah. So I'm not sure when this video will get released. It may have already happened. But this
Oh,
weekend.
no, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to get it out. So
Oh,
either
okay.
tonight or tomorrow. So it'll be going.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
well, there's actually a lot of stuff in the board gaming world happening this weekend. So I'll even give shout outs to some of the other things happening. And I know I'm probably missing things, but NunPub, which is the online version of Unpub, is happening, and a whole bunch of cool people are helping with that.
Yep.
UK Games Expo online is also happening. And, you know, ancillary to those bigger things, I am doing a tiny thing. I've partnered with Extra Life, which is an organization that works with Children's Miracle Network to raise money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And I've done Extra Life live streams in the past and haven't actually done one in a while, but this weekend I'm doing a weekend-long event starting Saturday morning and ending Sunday night. I'm not streaming 24 hours a day during that time because I get real cranky for too long in a row. But there will be content on the Board Game Blitz Twitch channel nearly constantly, at least during waking hours on Saturday and Sunday. The Brothers Murph are going to be doing a This Quiz is Broken on Saturday morning. I'm going to be playing some board games live with interactive participation with the chat. And it is all to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network, specifically the local Children's Miracle Network in Las Vegas, St. Rose Dominican. So I know exactly where the money's going. And I have in the past been able to raise $500. I've set the goal for myself for $1,000 this time, which feels maybe like I'm shooting for the moon, but I'm hoping that any amount raised is good. And especially right now during the pandemic, I think it's really important for people who are able to give, that they remember to do so. Obviously, not everyone is able to at this moment. A lot of people are struggling, but I think charitable giving is, important now more than ever for people who are able to donate. So, and really, I'm just excited to hang out with a bunch of people, play some games. We're going to do karaoke Saturday night. We're going to do Jackbox games. Oh, and the highlight of the entire weekend, per the Blitz Patreon supporters, is that on Sunday I will be punching out my copy of Gloomhaven that has been sitting in my house for 3 years.
Wait a second. Is that something people really want to sit through? Are you kidding me?
Apparently. I honestly, someone suggested it as a joke, and I was like, oh, haha, that's funny. And then a whole bunch of people were like, so you're going to punch Gloomhaven, right? And I was like, wait,
Oh
you
my
all are
gosh.
serious about this? And so I'm actually going to be doing some top 10 lists while I'm punching Gloomhaven. It's not just going to be me rambling about nothing. But yeah, a bunch of people were very excited that I think it's just because other people like to punch games and they have anxiety based on the fact that I have not punched my copy of Gloomhaven.
Well, when are you punching? Is that Sunday, Crystal?
That's Sunday afternoon. Yes.
Okay.
That's the coup de grace of the whole weekend.
It is.
Right. Punching Gloomhaven. You know, I think I'm gonna join you, and while I watch, I'm gonna punch a couple of copies of games that I have there sitting around.
Perfect.
Right.
Oh my
You know?
gosh, it's a punch along instead of a
A
play
punch along, yes, totally. There it is.
Ruel,
That's hilarious.
I thought you were about to say, I'll punch a couple of copies of Gloomhaven while I'm at it.
Yeah, I just keep them out here just for the heck of it.
I mean, I am considering just bringing the box into the frame and just like punching it real hard and just saying like, "What? I punched Gloomhaven. Y'all, this is what you asked for." But
All right, so let me ask you something. Wait, so hold on a second. This is going to be a brand new copy, right?
it is. It's technically the box has been opened once, and I looked inside it and went, "This is too much," and I closed it again.
Okay, so
I don't blame you.
Hold on. Okay. So we're in Vegas. I want to do an over-under. So I don't know if you guys know what an over-under is. An
Yes.
over-under is how long we think it's going to take Crystal to punch Gloomhaven.
Oh
So
my gosh.
anybody want to set a number?
That is a great idea, Tim. I'm trying to
That's
think
awesome.
what's a good number. Like I don't know, like
30
in
to
minutes, right?
35 minutes?
Has anybody done it yet? Have you done it, Chris?
I bought a used copy, and it was already punched. So
Oh,
Okay.
how about you,
it's
Julie?
actually right
I have.
there.
I actually. So I played the first scenario of Gloomhaven.
Uh-huh.
So I punched just those, and then refuse to punch the rest until I have an organizer because it gives me anxiety to have all those pieces and nowhere to put them.
Nice.
Isn't that
So-
one of those games that is sort of like that you don't want to play unless you have an organizer, right?
Right.
And what's funny is I actually own an organizer as well that I feel
You
like
really?
I should assemble. I bought it at the same time in 2017.
Well, glue it. Like now you have a reason.
Yeah,
to glue it, so while you're, like,
exactly.
punching, you can
Yeah,
put that
unfortunately, that's not happening before Sunday.
Okay.
So if
All
you
right.
raise $1,000, Crystal, what I'm hearing is that you will, in addition to punch Gloomhaven, you will also glue together your insert.
You know what? That sounds like a really
There we
good
go.
incentive. I don't know if it would be able to fit within the schedule for the weekend, but yes, I could do a bonus stream after the fact where I glue together the insert.
I love
Okay,
it.
Yeah,
so what were you saying?
Good
Ruel?
call,
What's
Chris.
the over-under?
I was thinking for over under. I'm thinking let's set the line. I feel like it's going to go high, like at least 60 minutes, right?
And I
Yeah.
hate punching games. I don't know if that's a factor, but I
Oh.
hate punching games.
Okay, that means the line has just moved up to 75 minutes. I'm still going. I think I'm going to go over. I
But
think
that's kind of low,
yeah.
don't you think? You're only going at 60 minutes.
How about 75, Tim? What were you thinking? Like 90, maybe
I'll
I mean,
say 90.
90.
I'll say 90.
Okay, now we got to listen to Julie because she has experience punching. the
She
first
did. That's
scenario.
right. Are they on sprues, Julie? The pieces or no? Or
Are they on what? Sorry.
sprues? Like are the those
Oh yeah.
plastic things like they're stuck and you got to like twist them off?
Oh, the
no,
miniatures,
no.
No.
No,
No,
it's
the
just
miniatures are all
cardboard.
boxed.
Yeah, it's just a ton of cardboard.
Okay.
But especially if you plan to if you're not just gonna like all into the void. If you're trying to keep them in any kind of order, again, then I feel like it's gonna take a while.
Okay. So
I think setting the line at 90 seems reasonable.
yeah.
90.
And even
Okay.
90, I think I'm going to have to take the over on that.
I think so.
Crystal, to what degree are you organizing it as you're punching it?
I haven't
Oh.
decided, so you all can maybe help me decide that. Like, again, I'm not putting the organizer together before I punch the game. So in my head, I'm thinking have some baggies on hand and maybe just throw components
Okay.
into baggies
Yeah.
to at least keep. I'm not going to do giant pile of all the components because then that is a guarantee I will never play this game.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, I'll go with over. So we're gonna set the over under at 90.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that
think
seems fair.
I think I'm going over as well.
I'm definitely going over. Yeah.
Hmm.
Although I can
Right.
see people going under and just like, watching the stream saying, hurry, Crystal, just punch everything.
Yeah, I know.
Don't worry about it.
What's interesting is it'll be a test of my multitasking skills because I will be talking to the camera while I'm punching
Oh,
the game.
That's
too.
Yeah.
true too. Yeah.
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 Now I feel like the 90 is sort of like low now.
Yeah.
Because I
All
mean,
of a sudden, I'm like, okay, it's gonna take her like 48 hours. She likes to talk a lot.
I'm thinking 2-part stream.
Yeah.
So is any of us saying under 90 minutes then?
So we moved the line then.
So yeah,
to-
we gotta
definitely
move the line.
Yeah, the line's been moved.
So the line is now at 2 hours.
120?
120? Yeah, I think that's a little more reasonable. Yeah.
If there's some semblance of organizing it, I'm going to go. I'm gonna be the one to say under 2 hours.
Nice.
Aw, thanks, Chris.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So Chris is under. Everybody else is over?
I'll say under. Am I allowed to, since I kind of made the first suggestion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I'll say under. I think it'll be maybe more than 90, but maybe less than 2 hours.
Okay. Now I'm worried about my over guess, because if Julie, who has experience with this punching thing, if she's saying under,
Don't rely on me too much, guys.
Okay.
So, yeah.
well,
Cross your heart of hearts, Ruel.
you know what? The old gambler in me enjoys the over, so I'm going to say 2 hours 1 minute. So it's going to go over by 1 minute.
Okay.
Nice.
Uh-oh. Did you say old gambler? Are you? Do you go to meetings, Ruel?
Thankfully, I don't have to go to meetings, but I do. I may have placed a wager or two in my lifetime.
Oh, okay.
I'll leave it at that.
So, Tim, are you taking the under or the over?
I'm going with the over as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Half and half. Good.
Yeah.
Crystal, you can't like, since you're
Big
doing
favorites.
it, you can't,
Right? Don't like.
you can't go slow or fast. You got to do
I
normal.
will do what feels natural in the moment, whatever that ends up being. I probably will not be watching the clock too much unless it gets close to the time for like the end of the stream, because I'm going to take a break and then we're doing Jackbox games later that evening. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. I believe I've allotted 3 hours for that part of the stream, like that and whatever else.
Oh
Who
yeah,
knows?
so you can totally just take your time and punch that game. Yeah.
Nah, I don't. I hate punching. So here's the thing: I hate punching. Therefore, I will do it slowly because I dislike doing it, or will I go do it quickly because I dislike doing it?
Oh yeah.
So
Right.
either way, I honestly don't know. I haven't punched a game in a long time. Whenever I take a game to game night, my friends know me so well at this point that they take the box from me and start punching.
Oh, I love it. And now I feel like I should hedge my bets. I should find another sports book to place the under bet. So
We need a board game sports book.
right.
Well, Ruel, what have you been up to recently?
Oh my gosh. Just doing my thing, doing live stream.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, every
Ruel's
hour.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally just a couple hours ago I finished a live stream with Renegade Game Studios. We started a RPG campaign called Wardlings, and this is a new RPG which is fantastic. It's 5e compatible, and the world is this really cool magical world where we play as children. And as children, we're more in tune with our magical powers and stuff, which is really neat. And we just finished our second episode, and slowly but surely, we're going to go on an adventure. And I'm really enjoying it. This sort of ties into something I wanted to talk about. One thing I'm thankful for. I mean, this has like been the worst year, right, of everyone's lives. We don't need to get into the details of it, but one thing I'm thankful for, I'm trying to keep positive, is I've been reintroduced to role-playing games. I seriously have not played an RPG in decades. And earlier this year, I was invited to play Fiasco, a one-shot with Chris Wetpan of Game All Night and a couple other friends. And I was like, wow, I miss role-playing. This is fun, and it was different for me, but it also felt familiar. It'd been so long. So after that, a buddy of mine started a 5e campaign, played some D&D for a couple of sessions, and then Renegade came up with this opportunity. So I've been digging the role-playing games. I'm still a board gamer, at my core. That's my love and my passion. But the whole board game or the whole role-playing game thing has been neat. So that's one of the things I've been up to. Besides live streaming on my Twitch channel.
Which
games
is awesome.
Thank
You
you.
all have fun
Yeah,
content.
I did it last week.
Yes.
Too. I did.
Yes.
that's
I
right.
had Tim on Top 3 at 3. So I'm doing a couple of different shows. I'm doing Top 3 at 3 at least once a week. I had Tim last week, had a great conversation. I had Rado yesterday. Next week, I got another special guest. And then also 3 times a week, my family and I played from board games. And that's, to me, I mean, that's, you can't put a price on that. Like spending quality time with the family, that means everything to me. And being able to share it with everyone too, which is really neat because just through the stream, we learn there's people that, there's a lot of us that cannot play games right now because of everything that's going on. So since we like to bring people into our home and say, hey, this is something that, we enjoy doing. Hang out with us, play a solo game or play something online, and it's like a board. It's almost like Meepleville Cafe. We're playing our game, you're playing your game. We're doing the same thing, but at separate tables, and we're still having fun. So, I've been really enjoying that. Also, podcasting. And speaking of UKGE, I'll be playing a game with Big Potato Games on Saturday with Suzanne Sheldon and a couple of other guests. So I'm super pumped about that. Yeah, super pumped. But
I know I'm a little bummed that I won't be able to join that stream, to watch you all.
Yeah, no, but you're doing all the cool things too.
Big Potato is a fantastic company. They always send me games and stuff. They're really, really nice people, really good people.
Yeah, and I've had some interaction with them just in the past through the stuff I was writing for Geek and Sundry, the marketing people there, and I talked to the president of the company once, and they're just all super nice people, down to earth, and very, very helpful in the stuff I've been producing. But yeah, I like to keep busy. Like I tell my wife, it keeps me out of trouble. Just
there you go,
doing the board games, and I'll pass it on to Chris. How about yourself, my friend? What's new?
So for people that don't know me, I do a podcast with my wife called Meeple Overboard, and we're based out of Las Vegas. We are Las Vegas' second most popular board gaming podcast.
Honestly, you are very popular. People love your show, Chris, and I am one of them. So.
Yes, and also I want to say something too, because I had mentioned this to Chris a while ago. He has been extremely diligent. Like there's a lot of podcasts who, take a 2 months off or do this. But Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say you are on it, man, and that's fantastic. Really.
Thanks. We missed 1 week in the midst of all of this, the lockdowns, the shutdowns and everything. And we just look back like, what happened to that week? I think we've all experienced that a little bit here and there. So so we've been doing that show. I started another show, just kind of like a little side project with a friend of mine, Cam, from the Board Boys podcast, a show that I really like. And we're called CNC Board Game Factory, Chris and Cam Board Game Factory. And we're going to design a game. And we have no reason that people should trust us to actually make something good. But we're going to.
Is that what your podcast is? Like you're actually designing the game during the podcast, or?
Yeah. So our first several episodes are like pitching ideas back and forth, and we're going to latch onto one, and we're going to, every week or two kind of follow up and say like, hey, here's some of the development stuff we've done, ideas that we've toyed around with and stuff. And so it's just going to be two schmucks making a game.
Wow.
That's like the greatest podcast name ever. The name itself. But what was cool. It? The CNC
Board Game Factory. Yep.
Yeah,
brilliant.
You have to have that music for your intro,
right?
Yeah,
we have a legally distinct variation thereupon.
Oh,
there you go. Nice.
That's right, because you are a musician.
That's awesome.
As a musician, right?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, cool. Now, Chris, I recently saw it. You had published or you released a version of Viticulture, a roll and write. Is that correct?
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I've been doing in my extended amounts of available time is I've really gotten into trying to make some game designs. And so I talked with Jamie from Stonemaier Games, and he's one of those people that's very open to people riffing on his games and taking ideas and going places with them. My Little Scythe, which is like one of our daughter's favorite games right now, is
nice.
That was just Hobie Chow and his 4-year-old daughter were like, let's make a little kid version of Scythe, and he was like, fine by me. And so it's interesting that a lot of companies out there are very open to saying like, yeah, you want to work with something, don't sell it for money, but have at it. And so I made a little roll and write version of Viticulture, which is one of my favorite games. And so I'm just putting it up for people to try it out and test it out. So I've been actually making some games, which has been exciting.
That's so awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. How's the response been to that Viticulture roll and write? I really want to play it. I haven't downloaded the files yet, but how's the response been so far?
So far, my wife thinks I'm great.
Well, let me ask you something, Chris. So, like the BGG community, correct? Because you posted it up there, I'm sure, right?
So far on the Viticulture Facebook page,
Okay, but again, you have a whole group of fans, and I'm just wondering, like, what was the input? Like, did anybody give you something you were like, "Wow, I would have never thought about that"? Like, what's the feedback been?
I think that everyone's in the same boat. I just posted that recently. Everyone says I'm really excited to try this, but I think they have their lives. So, I think in a week or two, someone will actually print it out and try it out and stuff. So I'm excited, but I'm also really nervous. It's a lot more nerve-wracking than I thought it would be to even just to write rules. We make fun of bad rule books all the time as game reviewers. Oh, this rule book was terrible, this, that, and the other. And then I tried to write a rule book that I felt comfortable putting on the internet and saying, "Learn my game, please." And it's nerve-wracking. And so it's more there's more respect to it than I anticipated, but also hire like a good actual professional writer to like fix it up before you send it out to the market. But a lot of respect for game designers,
Well, congratulations. That's really, really good.
That is cool. So I had a question about that actually. So I've never created one, but with all the board games that I've played, I have interest in doing so. I think it'd be really, really cool. So for anyone else trying to think about that, what kind of advice would you give, or where would you start?
So all of this started 9 years ago. I had a dream that I designed a board game, right? I was in accounting school at the time. I was in business school at UNLV, and we had this little company that we would use all of like our accounting examples for called Pizza Aroma. And I had this dream that I was playing a board game called Pizza Aroma, and it was hilarious because they were like, you could perform illegal activities to try and get more money and stuff, but then like there's like an event deck, bam, audit card. I have 3 illegal activities. I got audited. I have to lose this money and stuff. Well, it turns out when you design a board game based off of a dream, it's usually going to be bad. Also, I had mostly played Settlers of Catan and Dominion and Munchkin at that time. Those like the main hobby games have been introduced to, and so the game was 3 parts Settlers of Catan and 1 part almost Settlers of Catan. So I think if you want to design games, playing a breadth of games is like the first thing. People say if you want to be a good writer, you have to read a lot. It's like the same type of thing. And for me, I found something really useful was at the start of all of this, with the start of the lockdowns and stuff, what I started doing was tinkering around with existing games. So I made there's that Pandemic Hot Zone, the little mini Pandemic. I thought, how would I make a mini Pandemic? And I just kind of tinkered with that for a little bit. And then I made, like, Royal pointed out, like, how would I make a roll and write version of an existing game? And then from there, I've been able to have a lot of different ideas. And I don't know, starting small has helped too. Make small things so you can go from the beginning process, like, hey, I have an idea, I have a prototype. Oh, here's the 40 things that are wrong with it, but it's small enough that I know how to like fix it. And now it's actually fun, and I think starting small has that nice benefit of seeing the general process. And then now I want to make a bigger game. I'm not going to get exhausted when I find 100 things wrong with it, because I know that's part of the process. I know how to iterate and how to let certain things go, and I know how to build up the parts that are actually fun. So that would be my advice. It's worked for me at least, so it's got to be 100% correct.
No, Chris, that's an interesting point. But when you say about starting small, because again, I know we all have games we want to design, right? And we do, and we probably have baggies full of prototypes and stuff. but I like how you said start small. But when you say that, are you talking about starting small on your bigger game and like do it small and complete it so it's playable? Or are you talking small, a separate game, you know what I mean, instead of the one you want to design?
I know a lot of people have different opinions on that, right? Because some people say for your first project, why not make it your passion project and make it Crystal, I think you know about Roy Canaday's Last Light, his 4X space game that's coming out. This is his first published design. That's so awesome, So a piece of advice I've heard is if you want to make small roll and write games, that's awesome. But if that's absolutely not your passion, and if that disgusts you, then I kind of like what Tim said, right? Like, make your big epic thing. But one of the important things I've heard is make it. Don't spend
just
months and months and months just with a notebook full of ideas and this, that, and that. Actually make it and start playing it, moving pieces, and then you'll see so many holes in your logic. Like, oh, okay, this needs to be fixed. There needs to be a rule that says I can't just warp into your home planet and blow it up, I guess, you know.
Right.
I think something that's helped me in the past, because like Tim said, I think a lot of board gamers have, you know, aspirations to potentially design a game. And for me, I don't, you know, obviously this is not everyone, but I tend to be a serial procrastinator when it comes to things that don't have a deadline. So if it's just an idea in my head, if I don't have something putting my feet to the fire, I tend to not make progress very quickly on it. So the thing that has helped me in the past is to look for board game design competitions. Button Shy, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but they earlier this year and last year, they were doing this monthly contest where they're, you know, so getting designs submitted, 18 card games based on certain constraints. So they did one that was like a legacy game. They did another that I'm not even sure what else. They've had lots of different categories. And so I think a lot of the contests do end up being small footprint games, kind of like Roll and Rights or, you know, the Button Shy 18 card games or whatever else. But I think that's a good way to dip your toe into the waters and also push you to get something done if you happen to be a person like me that just like keeps ideas in your head and has a hard time actually implementing them. That was my first game design that I put out was because of a Gen Can't design contest in 2017. They did a roll and write contest, and that was my first design that I ever created, and I got an honorable mention for it. So like that was
awesome.
Mind-blowing to me, and it's not a great game, but it was a fun exercise, and it's, you know, helped me keep ideas in my head and going forward. That's something I would suggest is if you need that push, is look for design competitions that have a specific deadline, because then you'll actually have that motivation to get it done.
True, but if you're a true procrastinator, you're going to catch that anyway, right?
So, Julie, I don't actually know you at all, and so I'm dying to hear more about you. I'm sorry for blabbering on for so long.
All right, no, that's fine. So yeah, for those of you that I haven't met, I'm Julie. I mean, I play tons and tons of board games, just like the rest of us, right? Currently, what I am doing, I recently started streaming. And I've been really into Animal Crossing. I feel like many people have been through this quarantine.
We all just nodded.
Right, everyone's like, yes.
Wait, sorry, Julie, hold on a second. Why am I okay, so this is my dork, right? Because I know nothing but board games. That's why I'm a super dork. So I asked Julie, I was like, what is Animal Crossing? And I hate that all of you shook your heads in agreement. And I'm the only one who's got no idea what that is.
Actually, like, my Switch is right here. I could just...
Yeah. Sorry,
so,
Julie.
No, it's fine. So Animal Crossing is one of my favorite games, video games from I've played the original and played like every version of it since. It's just an adorable game, pretty open world where you just make a village of animal friends that live with you. And it's you collect stuff and you can create what your village looks like and all this kind of stuff. This version is much more open in terms of the creativity. You actually have a terraforming tool in this one where you can build cliffs or rivers and all this kind of stuff. So it allows you to be very, very creative. And so what I've been doing, since I love Animal Crossing and I love board games so much, I said, why not put them together? So what I've been streaming is actually my own versions of real life board games that I have created in the game of Animal Crossing. So I recreated like Sheriff of Nottingham, for example, where we all have our own little stalls and then we're giving each other fruit that's wrapped up in present or in wrapping paper, and we tell them what's in there and then they have to open it and check, and then they're like, no, just like the game, you know? And so this is so that's the type of thing that I've been streaming lately. I try to think of how I can create these real board games in the game with the restrictions that the game has, which is actually quite challenging. But that's what I've been streaming lately.
So hold on a second, Julia. So again, because I don't know anything about this. So
sure.
Are you like writing the code and making this? I don't quite understand.
So I'm not writing code or anything, but so within the game, for example, you have trees. different types of trees that are there, and they grow. And there might be apples on some of the trees or oranges. And so as part of the game, you can go around and try to get them. Your island comes with a specific type to begin with, and then other people's islands might have the other kinds. So you can try to go to other islands and then get those trees for your own. And then you bring them back, you plant it, now you have your own trees that have the different fruits, for example. Your little character that runs around can shake the trees, and then the fruit falls, and then you can collect the fruit. And then you're actually able to wrap the fruit. There's like wrapping paper that is sold within the store that you can have on your island. And so then it hides it, and then it looks like a present. It's meant to actually be given as a quote unquote gift. But it does hide it, like a pouch would, for example, again, in Sheriff of Nottingham, right? So it allows for some hidden things. And so you wrap up a thing and then you give it to someone, and it's technically a gift. But if you play, again, with a board game style thing, it can be something like that, like Sheriff with a pouch of things that you're putting in there and you're like, I don't know what's in it.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't have to write code or anything. It's more just things that are within the game that as you run around, it's already in there. The code's already written and it just shows up as things on your screen.
It's so. Sorry, I was just gonna say it's so cool to watch Julie stream, because she'll do streams where, okay, I'm gonna set up this board game within Animal Crossing, and then she'll do another stream. Okay, now I'm gonna play this game. It's really neat. Like, I mean, I don't play Animal Crossing, but I'm familiar with it. And so one night I popped on there. Julie, I think it was code names you were creating with the Animal Crossing. It was just, again, like Chris had done the whole mind blown thing. That was me. I was like, whoa, this is in Animal Crossing. It's so great. And I that's what I love about her channel, is like she's doing something, taking something that we all, a lot of people know, Animal Crossing, and bringing board games into it. It's such a cool crossover.
Yeah, that's good. And real quick,
before I forget, Tim, I had to load my game, but it's
there you go.
Cute.
Oh, okay.
There's like one of my villagers, that dog is just wandering around. And I'm walking right now because I have drift on my controller.
Oh no, the drift is terrible.
Yeah.
All right,
but
so
there's fruit trees and other stuff that you can pick stuff from. And
before I forget, guys, so if we do this again, send me links, because what I'd like to do, because it was actually Ruel, he showed me about the banners. I'm just so like non-tech or whatever, but I can put up banners with links and stuff, so we can get links to your Twitch thing with the so everybody knows. Sorry, Julie, keep going. I'm sorry.
Good idea.
No, it's fine. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for a while now. I've been trying a different game every week. So usually one stream is me actually setting it up so that the people can see how I've done it. If they want to try on their own island, they can see me, like what I've done. I've branched out a tiny bit on the games as well. I did Legends of the Hidden Temple on my island a few weeks ago. So the 90s children's game show that used to be on Nickelodeon, I did that on my island, and that was super fun. But yeah, it's been really, really cool. And then on my other stream, I'm actually working with Sunrise Tornado Game Studio and Tate to show the Kickstarter version of Katsudoku. So I've been playing that on Wednesday nights. So it's been pretty cool. It's been a lot of fun.
Hold on a second. What is Katsudoku?
And that's different than Animal Crossing, right?
It's very different than Animal Crossing, yes. So Katsudoku is it's a puzzle game with the numbers, just like Sudoku. There's different puzzles, so the squares are kind of arranged differently, and you're using numbers 1 through 6 instead of 1 through 9, like in the regular Sudoku puzzle. And there's just the same rules kind of apply in terms of you can't have the same number within the same row or column or diagonals. And then instead of getting to place your own numbers, though, and figure the puzzle out, you actually have to roll 4 die every time. And whichever numbers are on those dice are the ones you're going to have to place within the puzzle. So you're almost forced into having some errors sometimes, and basically it's a game of who can create the least amount of errors and get the highest score by the end. You start with a score of 100. For every error you make, you lose points. And so whoever can get the highest score by the end will win. So it's very cute, and it's called Katsudoku because of the art. The art is adorable. The original one is called Roll for Kyoto, and then there's a second version of it called Roll for the Clouds. They're both, which has a minorly different set of rules to it. There's a little addition of a mechanic in there that makes it just a little different. But they're both really, really fun. They're great games. Tate's an awesome guy. If you guys haven't gotten to meet him or talk with him yet, but yeah, it's been really cool to be able to show that off. It's again just the tabletop simulator version of it because they're doing like a special for the campaign. So
cool.
Yeah.
Can I, Julie, do you mind if I share the story of how I met you here in Southern California?
Yeah, go for it.
So we're Instagram friends, right? So, Julie would always post, videos or pictures of board games and everything. We just connected on Instagram. And it turns out she was doing events, again, so long ago, last year. It feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What was the exact name of the event again, Julie? Was it, I don't want to... I forgot the name. It was something tea or.
We call it Tabletop and Tea Time is the event that we do.
Tabletop and Tea Time. So she would set up events where she would serve tea and pair it with board games, right? So it was a really cool event where and I met her. I think I actually met you at like a convention, right, where you did this event. At Kingdom Con.
At Kingdom Con.
That's right. And she had set up a kettle, electric kettle, and she was pouring tea for her. And I thought it was like the coolest thing. And I had my little Earl Grey. Shout out to Picard. And we played. You taught me. I think it was like Celestia or something like that. Something really, a light, fun game. But it was like it was such a cool idea. And unfortunately, we can't do things like that these days. But that's how we met last year. It was great.
Right. So we actually continued to do that every month after that first time. So we actually, as a friend of mine, as myself, we heard about we play tons of board games. And then we were like, well, every time we play board games, the associated thing is usually alcohol, right? Beer, cider, whatever it might be. And then we're like, that's cool. And that's nice because we like those things. But also, what about tea? What about snacks? So we actually came up with this idea of like, what if we were to actually set up like high tea, like with the tower of little finger sandwiches and everything. And we'll serve it up and we'll bring, the raised pinkies and all. And we'll supply the games and all the tea and snacks. And then people can just come and hang out. And so we tested it at Kingdom Con where Ruel passed by with our like little, cardboard tower set up on the edge of the table and our electric kettle plugged into the wall. And, we told him about the idea and he's like, that is amazing. And we actually held the event monthly at a little venue that we rented out here. And it's done pretty well. We got our own like actual stuff. So the towers are now like real towers. We use real teacups. With loose leaf tea that we've chosen, and it's been really great. So
I just want to
lovely.
Awesome.
It does sound cool. And I just got to say, for me, because when I was living in England and they drink tea all the time, I'm a basic black English breakfast tea guy. I don't like all the fruit teas. I don't know about you guys.
It's so
during
good.
Quarantine, my go-to has been, it's one of the main brands that you can buy in the grocery store, but it's a stress relief tea made with kava. It's like not spicy, but it's really flavorful, and that's been my go-to to drink at night during the pandemic because whether it's a placebo effect or not, it does seem to de-stress me a little bit.
Nice.
But apparently tea has more caffeine than coffee, right? Isn't that true?
Well, certain types of tea.
Certain ones,
Certain ones, okay, yeah.
Yeah, some tea has caffeine and some tea does not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an old-fashioned throat coat kind of guy.
There you go.
What does that mean?
It's just a tea you drink when you have a sore throat.
Yeah.
And that's the only tea that I ever drink.
Is it like the basic black or English breakfast, or is it a different
It's
one?
just like an herbal tea. It's supposed to have some like calm, like soothing or something, like maybe some menthol to it, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Throw in a little honey and lemon, and that's
exactly.
I do the same thing when I have a sore throat.
Milk.
That's my go-to.
Got to put milk in tea. You guys put milk in tea or no?
Yeah. I like milk. I like milk and tea, yeah.
You look at me weird, well. I don't know.
I'm not really the milk and tea type of guy. But
No?
I prefer it without. But I was thinking, the most tea that I drink is like boba tea during the day. Like that's
my
that's
gosh, I love boba.
Yeah, I could drink that all day long. And of course, it keeps me up all night now. But so I try to limit my boba tea to very early in the day.
I've never
Okay, so
had bobas. Isn't that like the little balls or something?
Yeah, tapioca, little tapioca
Tapioca.
pearls.
Tapioca thing. Yeah, people keep telling me I should put that in Meepleville, but like those machines can be expensive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like they would
I
be
think
expensive.
so.
Yes, but yeah, I love boba.
But that's
Me
a,
too.
that's a big
So-
hipster kind of drink, isn't it, or whatever? Like the young people these days.
That's what the young kids drink, apparently.
You young kids,
You young kids and your boba and your funny drinks.
So Julie, I have a question for you.
Sure.
I only know about 3 types of teas in the world, basically, because I'm not a tea drinker, And so, have you at this tabletop and tea time paired Battlestar Galactica with Ceylon tea?
That's brilliant, but no, I have not.
See, I thought you were going to make a chai joke, and you went completely a different direction with that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so we've actually talked about doing something like that where we because the tea that we choose was kind of just by flavor so that we get a really wide range, from the ones with high caffeine to the ones without, green teas, like all the different kinds and flavors. But we have talked about specifically like almost theming them to games and picking them. And, so we've come up with stuff like that, but I hadn't heard that one. So that's great. It's a great idea.
All right.
That's something you should do, because if you know a bunch of teas, like there's a lot of board gamers who've kind of talked about board games and beer pairings, like the podcast Draft Mechanic. Jake and Danielle have always kind of done stuff pairing board games and beer. I would love to hear pairing board games with non-alcoholic drinks, whether that be tea or soda or something else, because I'm not much of a drinker. So even though I like their content, I'm like, well, I'm never going to buy those beers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little embarrassed and I hate to do it, but I didn't get your joke, Chris. What was it?
No.
Oh,
Did I pronounce it right? Ceylon, right, is the name of that tea, right?
Yeah, it's Ceylon.
Is how it's pronounced?
So
Okay.
the bad guys in Battlestar Galactica, Tim, what are they called?
I have no idea.
Okay, yeah, that's
So
That's
the
why.
bad guys in Battlestar Galactica are called Cylons.
Cylons.
So he was saying
Oh,
yeah.
tea would be the correct pairing.
okay. So listen, guys, let me explain something here. If we're going to continue doing this, I am not kidding, okay? I am a serious dork because I know nothing but board games. I don't know Star Wars, Star Trek, comic books, Marvel. I don't know anything. So
I mean, it's in the Battlestar Galactica board game, even if you haven't seen the TV show. So
yeah.
I haven't played it yet. Sorry, so I don't.
it's
Oh,
my
okay.
favorite game, Tim.
It's
Is
a
it
fun
not-
one.
Yeah.
I know I haven't played so many. That's
Yeah, and you can't ever get to them all. That's
No.
especially now, which this
Yeah.
is not a complaint at all. People who complain about too many games, throw them out the window, whatever. I would like having lots of games to pick from to penetrate them. No, I love that there are so many games to choose from, but there is a tiny piece of my heart that gets sad when I realize that I will miss wonderful games because there are just too many to play.
And the thing about it is coming out recently. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but because they say 4,000 new games a year or something, but there are a lot of really good games coming out, aren't there? Like,
Yeah.
Yes, things that keep coming up in the mail, and I'm like, I need to play this now, and I have 0 people to play it with.
yes, I
Yeah.
know.
Also, come on, look at the box for Sovereign Skies. It's so
Beautiful.
That looks amazing.
Yes.
and I just got Prisma Arena yesterday in the mail, and I'm super excited about it too.
Nice.
And Crystal, I have to ask, I just noticed this earlier. Is that a portrait of Trevor above your shoulder?
Yes,
Okay, that's Dream Date, right?
that's a poster-sized version of Trevor. So there's a board game from the 80s called Heartthrob.
Heartthrob, that's the one.
And anyone who used to listen to the podcast Flip the Table will be familiar with what Heartthrob is. But basically, it was one of those girly style board games where you are looking at stock photography pictures of boys and say who you want to go on a date with and who you want to dance with and who you want to go steady with. And there's so many photos that come with the game, and they're all wonderful in their own unique ways. But Trevor has kind of become infamous because I mean, he has a mullet and a bolo tie and a smolder for days. So I also got on the Heartthrob train at one point, and at PAX Unplugged this past year, Flip the Table and Flip Flory's Super Saturday Board Game Serial and my podcast Board Game Blitz, we did an event all together. We did a breakfast, and we had posters of Trevor printed off to give away prizes. And now Trevor just lives on my wall. He's the only man in my life now. This is just me and Trevor going forward. So
now, Chris, how did you know that? How did you know who he was?
Yeah, that's a good eye, man.
Oh, are you not expecting me to be a professional heartthrobber?
You may have been. I don't know, but how did you know that? I'm just
There's a couple of my stock photos in that game, probably, right?
That's funny.
Actually, we've been on a hunt for years to find the person who is Trevor. It's these are all we've tracked down a lot of information about the photo studio that likely did the photos for the game. It was on the East Coast, and we think that they sourced boys from like a couple different local high schools in that area. And I found the niece of a different guy in the game a while back, but then she ghosted me. So I think the problem is every person that we've reached out to eventually kind of becomes disinterested. And I think it's because they think we want to make fun of them. And that's like, they don't understand how sincere I am about my love of this game. Like, I don't want to make fun of these people. Like, clearly, if they were teenagers in the 80s, they're much older now. And I imagine that this might not be something that they are necessarily proud of. But, like, right. I want to tell them how much they mean to me, especially Trevor. And my pinned tweet on my Twitter account is the search for Trevor, and I've had it up there for like 6 years now. I'm still looking for Trevor.
Well, hopefully one day you'll find him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Great.
Well, Tim, what have you been up to recently? We've all kind of been chit-chatting a bunch.
Yeah.
But what have you been up to? You've been doing a lot of content on your YouTube channel for Meepleville.
And you've been doing a lot of great interviews, man.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been trying. So that's one of the, because we just kind of really started the channel. I mean, I've had a YouTube thing, but haven't really done anything with it because I'm sure Israel, that's a lot of work, man. I like I said, I don't know how you do it. It's a lot of work. But yeah, and that's why I'm trying to learn everything. Like I try to learn Patreon because I know everybody has that. So I was like, well, let me try to see what that does. I actually got a thing tomorrow. I got an email from Google that they're giving personal things. I don't know how I got invited, but I got a real Google person going to talk to me about, YouTube and Google, like their products, whatever. So I'm pretty excited about that. Nice. But so I've been doing that and just trying to get interviews, do something a little bit different. I wanted to do a thing called On and Off the Table, because during the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff. And again, like a lot of, we play games, but then there's a lot of stuff off the table, right? Because the games are on the table, but off the table, we live in society and we're normal human beings and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to talk about things off of that too. But I noticed that a lot of people didn't want to really talk about a lot of stuff off the table. So it was a little bit hard. Some people did. Like, I don't know if you saw my thing with Rado. We had a great conversation.
That was a great episode. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was fantastic. And I just talked to him today, actually. So hopefully we might be doing some things more. But yeah, so no, it's been good. And I've been really surprised that people got back to me, like Reiner Knizia, and stuff like I did him. I talked to him. And so yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I've just been trying to, again, I want to keep Meepleville relevant while it's sort of, operating less than normal. So that way when things go back to normal, that it'll still be kind of in people's minds and hopefully I can get back to normal business. So
yeah. And that's I mentioned this before we came on here. I think that's, again, one of the positive things that's coming out of this is, you hadn't really created much content before, but once COVID and everything, now you're producing a lot of content. And the thing is, it's all good. I mean, you talk to Reiner Knizia, you talk to Rado, all these figures in the industry. It's fantastic, too. So kudos to you for, bringing, doing all this while you're, trying to stay afloat there at Meepleville.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I mean, again, it's just a matter of having to adapt, right? I mean, because, I can't do business as usual. So I got to try to find something to do. And again, I'm sure all of you know, right? Chris, Crystal, Ruel, Julie, I'm just not including you. I don't know if you do a pod. Oh, you do a Twitch stream, so you know too. To monetize it, right? It probably takes a long time to really like make a substantial income. Like anybody who's doing this making a living, they've been at it a long time. Like, because Tom said, a lot of people think it's an overnight success or whatever. You watch a Dice Tower or Board Game Geek, but Board Game Geek is 20 years old. Dice Tower, he's doing it for more than 10. So these people put in the time and the effort and the work before they're able to make money doing this. So I'm not in it for the money. I'm just in it for it's something I need to do as part of the game industry. It's just another facet that I want to try to get Meepleville involved in, just to adapt for the current situation. So. Yep. And hopefully when things get back to normal, I can kind of keep it going too.
So obviously people that live here in Vegas can, order curbside pickup from you and still come buy games and puzzles and other stuff. But if let's say someone's watching this video right now and they're not local to Las Vegas and maybe they don't have a friendly local game store near them and they want to support you, what is the best way for someone who's not a local to support you right now and Meepleville?
Oh, well, again, it's one of the kind of things because, again, like with the Patreon, I'm never going to be able to pay rent or pay bills or do anything with it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's nice. Thank you, people who contributed. It's great. But really, supporting us, the big things would be just liking us on Facebook, liking the Instagram account, liking the Twitter thing, watching the YouTubes. YouTube. Listen to me. I sound like an old person, don't I?
Are you working on the YouTubes again?
The YouTubes, or is it the Click Clocks or the TikToks or whatever?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Tim, you should make a Meepleville TikTok. I have to say, I've been finding board gamers on TikTok and connecting with them there, and I love TikTok. I've really gotten into it during the pandemic, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, people do some crazy things out there. It's a what is it? It's just people just do crazy things. That's it, right?
It's neat because it encourages you to riff off of other people's content. So on most social media platforms, if you steal an idea from somebody else, people are like, well, what are you doing? That was so-and-so's idea. But on TikTok, they want you to take the audio from somebody else's video and do something unique with it, or take their video and duet it so it shows their video and your video side by side, and you can kind of interact with them not in real time. And the creativity that I see from people on TikTok is fascinating. And there's also a lot of people that have disabilities, so there's a lot of awareness spreading. There's a girl that I follow who I believe lives in the UK, who has tics. And so a lot of people are somewhat familiar with Tourette syndrome, but probably don't know a lot of people with tics. And she's spreading awareness about what her life is like. And she's also really upbeat and funny. And it's fascinating to watch her content. So that kind of stuff, she's like, here, I'm making a recipe. And she's, occasionally she'll throw the flour in the air, and where a normal person would get frustrated, she just laughs and keeps going. And it's inspirational in a way.
Well, let me ask you.
Is her channel by chance called Tik Tok?
No, it is not.
Okay. Well, that sounds fascinating either way, but
yeah,
I can't resist a pun.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, the dad joke guy right there.
There it is.
There's the dad joke guy. But Crystal, I saw your thing on Twitter where you were kind of you had your hair and then you spun around and you jumped up and you changed. Does TikTok help you do that? Does it help? It has all the editing things and everything?
TikTok will dye your hair pink. I got it down.
TikTok will actually
We'll TikTok grow hair for you.
Yes, but very slowly.
Okay.
No, the tools to make videos within the TikTok app itself. It's funny because they were not super intuitive to me going in, and that's honestly a sign of my own age. I found every new social platform that comes out, even when Snapchat released, I didn't get it. It was hard for me to intuit what you needed to do. And TikTok was similar for me, but I've just been slowly kind of learning. And the way you record videos in TikTok is you can set timers based on the sound that you're using. So in this case, it was a song, and you can set it to only record bits and sections of it at a time. So I was able to specifically just like move around. And then, do you want to know the secret to how I did that video?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the trick to that video specifically, which I learned from other people on TikTok, I did not come up with this at all, is I'm dancing around in the dress. Then I stop that. I change out of the dress. I hold the dress in the frame and yank it up very quickly. So all you see is just the dress itself flying out of frame. Then I drop the unicorn costume into the frame quickly, stop the video again, get into the unicorn costume, and fling myself onto the floor as if I was the one falling from the ceiling. And like, this was not like third-party video editing. I did it all in the Tik Tok app, which
okay.
Because that's the thing, I'm not a super talented video editor. I'm not. That's why I do a lot of my content tends to be live, because produced content is not something I'm as strong with. But yeah, so it made it super easy. If people haven't seen that video, find me on, I put it on my Instagram and my Twitter. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to make, and it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
it looks great. It was funny.
You should make TikTok tutorials for people like Tim and myself who are a little slower on the uptake.
No, I'm not.
And call it.
No.
And call it TikTok Trick Talk.
Wow.
What's nice is there are lots of people on TikTok who are kind of already doing that. And that's how I learned this one specifically, is through other people posting the tutorial about how to do this jump out of frame, fall into the frame trick. And that's what's neat, is these TikTok trends kind of appear and then everybody latches onto them. And it's not like, oh, I don't want to do that because everyone else is doing it. You're like, no, I want to do that because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, but isn't it amazing how these things just come and go, right? Because there's always like a new thing on the block. Because this TikTok, I heard something the other day that apparently it's already valued at like $50 billion or something.
Whoa.
It's very, very big.
It is, because what was the one they had? What was the one that was 6 seconds? Is that even around anymore?
Oh, so yeah, that was Vine. Vine is not around
Right,
anymore.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was hot at one point, right? It was the thing.
Yep.
And now it's gone. And so, they just keep coming and going.
I'm thinking about starting up a Meeple Overboard Google Plus account.
Find me on there.
Yeah, you're totally not too late for that at all, Chris.
Add me to your circle, please.
The circle of friends. Yeah, it was funny. I was so all in on Google Plus. I loved that platform. I loved it. And then things happened, and here we are.
Isn't that what they have? Isn't that their default thing right now?
Google Plus is gone. Anything Google does, they release it and it's there, and then it's gone after a couple of years. It just sort of withers away.
Yeah, but remember Google Glass? Those are definitely not around anymore.
Yeah, all right. Remember those things?
Yeah, but I mean, their platform is pretty extensive, right? If you just have the basic Google, you can do a whole bunch of stuff with that, right?
Yeah, I mean they have everything. It's just they're always like adding features. There was Google Plus was the whole they were going to take down Facebook, right? And it was a great platform. I really enjoyed it, but
right, okay.
Yeah, that didn't have the user base. Yeah,
it really didn't. Yeah, they tried, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So what have you guys been playing lately? Because some of the I don't know if you guys have heard of some of these games. I mean, you may have. I'm sure you have. But I was able to pick up an oldie but goodie last week. Francis Drake. Has anybody played that one?
Mm-mm.
I've heard of it, but I've not played it.
Yeah, I played that. I played Pulsar 2849.
Ooh, good. How'd you like it, Tim? I like that game a lot.
I thought that was fantastic. How it works. I'll just why it's kind of really intriguing to me. There's only 8 rounds in the game. And you only get 2 actions per round with a die. You may get a possible third action with a red die. So at most, you get 24 actions. And it seems like, how is this going to be much of a game, right? Because you don't really do anything. You think in the beginning, but man, there's just so many choices and the kind of stuff you do and what you build up to, because it's like an engine builder, right? Because you're so limited at the beginning, then you build up. It's really, really good. I enjoyed that.
Yes.
And then smartphone. Been playing that to death.
Oh gosh, I really want to play that one. I've got that one's coming in with the expansion. I'm waiting on that one, but
yes,
I've heard nothing but good things. Yeah, nothing but good things about smartphone.
Have all of you tried it yet?
I haven't. I've heard, like Will said, I've heard some great things about it, but I haven't played that one. I haven't played any of the ones you had mentioned. I've heard good things about Pulsar as well.
I would second.
Pulsar's good.
I would second. Yeah,
Smartphone-
both Pulsar and smartphone are really, really slick games. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Smartphone, I think, is just I think it's a good. Who was it? Was it you, Crystal? Somebody about the term gateway? Was that you who said something about that? Oh, somebody was saying about how you like gateway. You shouldn't use it as a derogatory term.
Yeah. No, that was me in the Bits and Bobs segment on Girls Game Shelf. I was saying that other people have mentioned that it's not necessarily. I don't think gateway is derogatory, but I do think it can lead people in the wrong direction if, in fact, what they like is just what we consider to be gateway games. And by implying that that is just a step toward something else, it may delegitimize the way some people play board games. So I don't think it's a bad term to use, but I think we should be thoughtful about how it is utilized.
Oh, okay. Because I want to say it's sort of that, I guess, because it's pretty intuitive. It's pretty straightforward. It's one of those kind of games where after you do the first round and each round has 8 phases, you're like, okay, I got this. Let's go. So I think it's really good for a lot of people.
This is a Smartphone Inc. that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if it was Chris or Crystal. I remember listening to someone talk about how it was similar to Food Chain Magnate, but it's like a streamlined version of that. Is any truth to that?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's competition. Like, so in one of the last phases of the game, there's competitions for customers in different markets on the map. And if you price your phones lower, you get to sell earlier. And there's a finite number of customers. But you also have to plan to have the right features. If you don't have 5G, this customer won't buy from you, even if you're the cheapest phone. If you don't have extended battery life, this customer won't buy from you. Whatever. So it's that balancing act of, I want to charge less so that I sell more quickly, but I want to charge more so that I make more money per sale. And it's just really smart. Like, just all those little touches are very well done.
Nice. Yeah, I'm so excited to play this one.
The one thing that somebody had brought up, it was actually Billy, Chris. Billy. Because the thing about Smartphone is that there's perfect scoring information. You can see everybody's possible score. So the problem is, I don't know if you feel the same way, Chris, is that last round, you could get some serious AP because you're thinking about 1, 2, or 3 points. You know what I mean? Because you can be like, oh, if I sell to him, I'll block him. If I don't, if I do that, if I should go here. So that's the one drawback I found, is it's a little mathy at points, and especially that last round, because you really have to try to figure out where to sell your phones, who to block, and all that kind of stuff. So, but still, I love it. I think it's fantastic.
I think the fix to AP analysis paralysis in situations like that is to be like me and just not be that smart. Like $400 a phone sounds good to me.
No, but again, and I'm sure you guys have all felt this. It's not a matter of whether you think you're smart, but don't sometimes you just get that feeling? You're like, man, I know I'm within like 5 or 10 points if I do that or do that. You may not know exactly, but you just got that feeling. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, and that's what happens. You're like, oh, I just know if I did that, I would. Oh, yeah. So.
I'm like Chris. I like not being smart, so I just take my turn and move on.
I always say that I'm a person that doesn't care about winning, and that is a true statement. But where that becomes untrue for me is when we're nearing the end of a game and I think I'm going to win. So like the whole time, I'm cool if I win, I'm cool if I lose, whatever. But if I have a moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna win, and I'm like kind of sure about it, and then somebody like comes from behind or plays a bonus card and then they beat me by just a tiny bit, that's like the worst for me. I'm like, I don't mind losing, but I don't like, I hate when I think I've got it and then I don't got it.
So what else you guys been playing? Anybody else?
I recently got Windward in for it was a Kickstarter. It's about airships, and you're fighting these monsters in the air called cresters. They look kind of like big whales or like big sharks. So the theme of it's really cool. I love that whole, ships in the air and flying around, and the sci-fi element with the monsters and kaiju or whatever I just think that's really fun. So that one's been really cool.
It sounds really cool for two reasons. One is because that's an awesome theme.
Yes.
And two, if you are blowing up whales in the sky, then you get to make a wonderful Simpsons reference. Nuke whales? Do you really believe in that?
Oh my gosh, great reference, Chris. Wow, nice. What was the name of it? It was a Windward? I hadn't heard of this
Windward,
one.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, here, give me 1 second, because it's like right here on the shelf.
Cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard about this one, but yeah, the whole nuking whales, Chris. It's amazing.
Ooh,
Oh,
Windward. Okay.
wow.
Okay.
looks beautiful.
Who publishes that, Julie?
It's by. Sorry, I feel like I should know this. So it says Play Monster on
Okay.
the back.
Playmon,
Yeah.
I've not heard of that. There's so many. I seldom look at Kickstarters because I
It's
just know.
it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
It is. It
exactly.
really is.
Well, speaking of Kickstarters, is anyone else part of the group that has fallen into the new gaming table campaign that's on Kickstarter currently from Wormwood?
I've seen
No.
it, but
I've seen it. Yeah, no.
It's now something like the 14th most funded Kickstarter of all time.
Wow.
Oh my
something
gosh.
like that.
Wow.
What is
They're doing modular gaming tables. So it's not just like a game table with a topper and you choose whatever. Like you get to pick your size, but then you can buy the components from them to change the height and the size of the table. And like they've shown off the system. It looks really neat. There have been a lot of board game table Kickstarters that I was kind of like, ooh, that looks interesting. Maybe I should back it. But like I didn't necessarily have a need for a gaming table, and I'm actually house hunting right now. So I didn't get in until wave 7. So in theory, my table won't come till like next July. So hopefully I will be well established in my new house by then. But it looks really neat. And they also put out a series of videos that they call their fans the Wormlings, which this was something I was unaware of until recently.
Wormling.
Yeah, Wormlings. But they're doing a lot of behind the scenes videos of like their process in running this Kickstarter and their company as a whole. And I think the transparency is nice because you can kind of see that like they weren't necessarily planning for it to be this big, but they are very quickly going, okay, this is how we deal with this. And I think that gives me more confidence than I have in a lot of Kickstarters that are this large. Because they're like, okay, well, we're hiring 30 woodworkers today, kind of a thing. So it's neat.
Wow.
Yeah, Wormwood makes some really beautiful stuff too. They have
And
a lot
they've
of
been around
dice
for a
tower
while.
screens. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's awesome. Now, here's the other great thing about having a designated game table like that, where you can put the top on and everything, is that's the only reason that I can play Gloomhaven, or any of those big setup campaign games. Is like, we have to eat dinner, blah blah. Like,
Yes. And let me interject real quick because I just remembered Chris. So I was Chris had me on his podcast. So I went over his house. You made yours. So tell people about that you made your own.
So ours is, like many other things in my life, as cheap as possibly made. So it's an IKEA table. The model is called the Bjursta, Bjursta, because the European J's are just different from the American J's. So the Bjursta table is how it works is it's supposed to have these sliding 2 top pieces that will slide out, and then you can put the leaf in between to extend the table. You assemble it like 85% of the way. You don't put the rails in on it, so you can just slide the tabletop parts off of it, and then there's a part underneath it where there's already some cross beams to put on the sleeve of the table, and we just cut out a piece of press board. We put some felt material whatever over it, set it right, cut it down to size, put it right in there, and it looks like a cheaply made gaming table, but it's great. And
It's
without that thing,
yeah.
without that thing, I would not ever be able to play Gloomhaven for fear of setting it up, tearing it down, and all that stuff. So we currently have Imperial Assault, the Star Wars game, set up underneath there, and we're playing with the app, the fully cooperative version, with our almost 5-year-old daughter, and I mean, her role is basically just roll the dice, and she's like, yeah, boom, 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 pew, pew, pew.
Who's done the most campaigns with Gloomhaven? How many have you done, Julie? You just said one, right?
I just did the one. Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I did the first one, and I unfortunately never got to go back.
That's all I've done. Chris?
Yeah.
I think we're 25 sessions in.
Nice.
Wow. And Crystal?
I opened the lid of the box.
And you're going to punch it, too.
I'm going to punch it. It's happening this weekend. Come rain or shine.
So I think this raises an interesting question, right? How many of you are people who finish campaign games? Like, with the exception of Gloomhaven, Wendy and I have finished most of our campaign games, you know, that we've had. Anything that has like 7 scenarios or whatever. Gloomhaven is obviously this exception because I think it takes usually around 50 to like complete a story arc. So, but we're treading our way there. Are you people that usually like after 3 or 4 or 5 games, you're like, or do you like to skim through?
Like Pandemic Legacy campaign or no?
Yeah, like legacy games, anything that has like a storybook, that type of thing.
I've completed Pandemic Legacy. I've done that, the whole thing.
Yeah. I think that's such a great question because, so I've completed Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I started Mechs vs. Minions, and after Game 3, one of my playing buddies decided he didn't like it, and he just quit. And I never got anyone else to fill in. I did finish Clank Legacy, the Clank Legacy one, Acquisition Incorporated. That one was fantastic. I loved Clank Legacy. But for me, I feel like Legacy, as much as I love the idea of them, you know, I love the idea of doing a full campaign and your characters change and everything else. I find it a lot tougher for me to find the same group of players that wants to keep coming back to the same game. Like everyone that I game with, they always want to play something different each week, or they're just after, you know, one game, they feel like, I don't know, they just aren't into it, I guess, as I thought they would be. And I don't know. I think for me, it's the idea of legacy games are much better in my mind than they are in reality. But I don't know. How do the rest of you feel about? Are you all legacy game finishers?
I was fortunate because I binged it.
Okay.
Yes. So it was at the gathering in 19, and we did it in like 6 days. So
okay.
Yeah, just binged it and got it done. So, but I could definitely see the problem if you have normal lives and you're in your house and you have to travel, work and all that, getting it together, that it would be a problem. Absolutely.
I think for my game group here in Vegas, I've been exceptionally lucky over the past few years because we had a group of people, like our normal game night was Thursday evenings, but then there was a smaller group of us who was also meeting on Saturday evenings. We would actually come to Meepleville a lot. They said we haven't been able to do this in a while. Some of the people from our game group have kind of shifted away, and we've played a lot of games, and that Saturday night tended to be for campaign style games. So we did Pandemic Legacy Season 1. I've also played through all of Season 2, but that wasn't with that group. We did Betrayal Legacy. We've done Arcadia Quest. I did Near and Far all the way through with a different person. So yeah, it seems for me, I've played through a lot of legacy and campaign style games. And I do like playing them to completion, but I think that's mostly only because I've chosen what games I'm going to play fairly deliberately. I would not slog through to the end if I wasn't enjoying the game. That's just, it wouldn't be worth it. And all of the ones that we've played, I've really enjoyed. Now, and we did Imperial Assault, forever ago as well. We did the whole campaign of that too. But for all of those games, I tend to run through the whole base game campaign and then never pick the game up ever again. And it's not that I didn't enjoy the experience, but in my mind, it kind of feels like, okay, I played that game a lot. Now I'm done with it. So I've never played any of the expansions for Imperial Assault or Arcadia Quest. And even with Arcadia Quest, when they came out with the Pets expansion, I was like, ooh, that sounds awesome. But I kind of just don't need to play Arcadia Quest because I played it a bunch and it was fun and I'm done with it now. So maybe it's not as good that I go through it that way, because then I never come back to these games that I really, truly did enjoy.
Did anybody do that Discover game where every single box was different?
Oh, I know what you're
No.
talking
I did
about.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Fantasy Flight, right?
Right.
I
Yeah.
think so. And they had like 4 campaigns in the box or something, like, or something
Yeah.
like that.
I
Yeah.
was very excited pre-release, and then it released, and people started talking about it, and I became less interested.
That kind of
Same.
died, didn't it? Right? I mean, I thought it was like a big innovative thing. Like, wasn't that the first board game like that where every single one was unique?
They released
Mhm.
that and
Keyforge.
Keyforge right at the same
Keyforge,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Um,
That's right.
The
That's right.
procedurally generated stuff or whatever. But yeah, Keyforge has done well, and that game sunk like a stone.
It did, but
Julie, Julie, did you ever? Are you much of a campaign game player, or?
I like them. I think I'm a lot like Ruel. It's hard to find the people to stick around to play through them, but like he said, I love the idea of them. I think they're really, really cool. I've played a few scenarios of several. Like I've played Near and Far. I've played Above and Below. I've played Charterstone. Stuff Fables, so those types of games, I really do enjoy them. But yeah, like it can be really tough to get the same people together. So like campaign games can be fine because especially something like Stuff Fables or, where the scenario is individual. So if it's not like you're truly missing anything if you didn't play in the rest. But an actual legacy game, you kind of really need the same people, right, to come back. And that can be pretty difficult. So yeah, I do like them and I like the concept of them, but I actually haven't been able to really complete many of them. So,
but those games like Stuff Fables, is that so you're not done with it, right? If you play it, I mean, can you play that game forever, or does there come a point where it's just done?
No, I mean, you never really finish it. And then you can go back and play the same scenario and be, kind of different. Like the story is there, but like it would be the same thing that you're trying to do, for example, or the text is there and it's the same, but you can still play it again and again.
Oh, okay.
So
I'm in the same boat as Crystal. I've had a lot of luck finishing campaign games and having so much fun and everything. And then we hold on to the box and we look at it on the side and we think, I'm never going to play you again.
Yeah, it's not that I even like, if you ask me, like, if somebody really wanted to play one of those games, I probably would, but I am just not inclined to go for them again.
Because
yeah, absolutely.
You're doing Imperial Assault right now, Chris, right? You said?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So, like, I know Crystal, because in just the base game, right? If you just bought the base box, how many scenarios or how many campaigns are in just the base?
It was like 10, I want to say.
It's a little bit small because we're doing the Fantasy Flight released an app, and so it makes it full co-op, so you don't have to have one person play the Imperials and everyone else play against them.
Okay.
And so we're able to play that way, just co-op, a full co-op. Our daughter's able to play with us and everything. And I think it's like 5, 6, 7 scenarios or something like that. And once we're done with that, I assume I'll be done with the game. I don't really know if I have any other reason to revisit it, or I don't want to spend $50 on expansion to get like a small different campaign or something. So it's like a curse and a blessing. I do feel like once I'm done with the campaign, I'm like, cool, thanks for your service. Go to someone else's house now.
Right.
It's a credit to the people who are writing these campaigns, I think, because, I mean, while the gameplay and mechanics are often solid, what really draws me into some of these campaign-style games is the story, is, finding where things are going to go. I played through all of Mice and Mystics at one point with some friends, and truthfully, Mice and Mystics, I didn't dislike it, but really I was not loving the system. I know that Plaid Hat, in their subsequent games has just gotten better and better and better. I actually have a copy of Aftermath that I haven't gotten to play that I desperately want to. But even though the gameplay in Mice and Mystics wasn't my favorite, I still loved coming back to it because of the story. And that story was so good. And I like being drawn into, like Imperial Assault, we had choices each time where we could go for the next scenario, and I liked having that agency too.
It's funny you said that about how you like the story, because have we all played Pandemic Legacy or not? Who has any?
I haven't played Pandemic Legacy.
Oh, okay. And the reason, Crystal, it's an interesting point, is because the whole time I was playing that game, I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I can't believe they did this. How did they think of that? I can't believe they did. Like, I don't even know if I really remember the story because I was just so in awe of the game. It was like what they did. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I've actually struggled a lot with where legacy games should fall within my favorite games of all time, because especially as time passes, because the year after Pandemic Legacy came out, it was really high on my top 100. And then I played like season 2 and I had a really neat experience with that one. And I'm like, how do I compare those two things? I played them with different groups of people. I had very different experiences. I loved them both. And now it's been even years since I've played that one. And keeping those games crazy high on my top 100 at this point doesn't feel right to me. But I can't ever go back to I mean, I could technically get a new box and play through them again, but I'm not going to. So I've really struggled with how to rate legacy games against other games that I've played.
That is a great point. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with the Crystal, because last year Clank Legacy was one of my favorite gaming experiences, because those 10 or whatever number of games it was with that same group of my gaming buddies, and we had a fantastic time. But I could, like Crystal said, I could buy a new game. Copy of Clank Legacy and go through the exact same thing, but there's nothing that compares to that first time, that first thing that you read at first. Oh my gosh, I didn't expect that to happen. And now I got to rip up this card, or I got to add this to the board or whatever. You can't replicate that first time feeling. And then so years down the line, where do I put that? Where do I rank that in my top 100 games of all time? It's really difficult. I don't know if there's an answer for that. Because again, I love Clank Legacy. That experience was fantastic, and my friends and I, we still joke. There's still some inside jokes of ours that because of that game that we still talk about. But if I went back and played it with another group, I don't think it would replicate that experience.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, because before I played Pandemic Legacy, as far as an experience, I thought the experience I had with the people I was playing with was tremendous. But I had that same feeling with Time Stories. Like the first time I played Time Stories, and each subsequent story or scenario, I played with the same group. We just had a tremendous experience. It was really, and it was like the first one was like 8 hours, because we played a couple hours, learning the rules, went and had lunch, played a couple hours, had dinner, played a couple hours, finished. The next one's got a little bit shorter, but we'd still take a break and talk about it. But yeah, it was just such an amazing experience. And that's the whole thing, Ruel. I think you and Chris have come up with a good point, because if you're rating them, it's not necessarily the game you're rating, right? Because like you're saying, that experience is gone when it's a legacy thing. Right. So you can never really come back to it. So that's interesting to think about.
Yeah. I've almost considered taking legacy games out of my top 100 entirely and kind of just having a separate rating. But I do think there's also value in showing how much you like a legacy game against the other games that you play. And so it's something that I've struggled with. And if somebody watching this video later has an idea for how to make this work, please let me know, because it's a struggle.
Yeah, but that's a whole overarching sort of another discussion or question for another time. Is it the experience or the game, right? I mean, I don't know if those are apples and oranges, but
I mean, all ratings are subjective. So it's, in my mind, at least for me personally, and other people might do it differently. When I do my top 100, I'm saying the games that I like the most. And that can be based for me both on experience and the game itself in any combination. So like for me, Battlestar Galactica is my number one game. And the reason for that is because every single time I've ever played Battlestar Galactica, whether it went well or whether things crashed and burned, I've always had a wonderful time with it, and the experiences have been memorable every single time. So that is why it's my favorite game. There are other games that I really like that occasionally I'll play and really not have a good time playing. It's just sometimes that happens, but with Battlestar Galactica, that literally is never the case.
Oh, cool. Okay, so listen, guys, we're getting close to ending up here. So I just want to, real quick before they go, I'll just go around. I'll start with, I'll start with me first, and then we'll just go with everybody. But I just want to make sure we remind everybody what we're working on, what we're doing, and all that kind of stuff. And also, before we end, like if I end, don't go anywhere. Just stay here real quick after I shut off the broadcast. So real quick, if everybody could, make sure you go to meepleville.com. You can go to the YouTube channel or the website, but doing a lot of interviews. I've done a lot already. I've done like Alan Moon, Elizabeth Hargrave, Rado, I can't even remember, Reiner Knizia. I've got a lot coming up too. I've already got some that I'm still waiting because I'm trying to keep ahead. All you content creators know, right? You don't want to run out of content. So,
That's right.
Yep. I've got a lot I've done. I've already recorded and have on hold, so that way I know I'm always ahead of it and still doing more. So please just go check that out and go to our Instagram, Twitter, and all that kind of stuff. So I'd really appreciate that. Julie?
So I'm on Facebook and Twitch as Kawaii Plays. It's kind of a funny play on kawaii, meaning cute in Japanese, and kaiju, meaning monster. So and then Ju is the beginning of my name. So Kawaii Plays as the streaming. And on Instagram, I'm Geeky Board Gamer to see all of the board game content that I post on Instagram. But yeah, I'd really greatly appreciate it if you guys would check out my stuff.
I'm sorry, Julie, one more time, say the Twitch thing because there was a little lag with the video.
Oh, sorry. It's Kawaii Plays on both Twitch and Facebook Gaming.
And spell that out.
KAWAIIJU Plays. PLAYS.
Easy, didn't you? All right, Chris.
So you can find us, my wife and I, Wendy, do a podcast together called Meeple Overboard. So go listen to us there. We're part of the Dice Tower network of podcasts, and so that should be easy to find. I'm very active on Twitter at Meeple Overboard, and pretty inactive on Instagram at meeple.overboard. Should post a few more pictures there occasionally.
All right, Ruel.
You can find me on Twitter and Facebook and Twitch at Ruel Gaviola. That's RuelGaviola. I'm on Instagram as Gaming with Ruel. You can follow me on. I'm on the committee for the Tabletop Writers Guild, which is a resource for anyone who's interested in writing in the board game industry. Also on the board of the American Tabletop Awards. So check those out for some great recommendations. And what else? I stream also for Renegade Game Studios. You can find me on their Twitch channel once or twice a week.
Oh, very good. And Crystal, last but not least, make sure you tell them about all the stuff you do, but end with what we got coming up right this weekend, okay?
Okay, so things that I do, I am one of the hosts of the Board Game Blitz podcast. Ambi Valdez is my co-host, and we do a new episode every 2 weeks on Thursdays. I am also a part of the Dice Tower. I do video content on the Dice Tower's YouTube channel. Specifically, I host Dice Tower Tonight, which is a live video show every 2 weeks on Wednesday evenings with Eric Summerer. And that show is really fun because we review board games and then we also play an interactive game with the chat live on YouTube. And it's different every week. And we have a ton of fun with the chat. I'm really proud of what Eric and I have done with that show, and it's really one of my favorites. Ambi and I have also been streaming on Twitch more regularly during the pandemic. Lots of different content, including Switch games, karaoke, board game content, of course. And then, yes, this weekend we are streaming all day Saturday and all day Sunday to raise money for Extra Life and Children's Miracle Network. My goal is to raise $1,000. I will pass the link over to Tim for our team page. So you can go to the Extra Life website and learn more about it, but it's a really good cause. And I'm specifically raising money for St. Rose Dominican Hospital here in Las Vegas. So all of the dollars that I raise will go to the local hospital here. Yeah, and their hashtag, their slogan is for the kids. And while I am not a parent, I think the Children's Miracle Network does some really, really neat stuff for families who are struggling with some of the worst situations that, families can be dealt. So, yeah, I'm really excited about the charity stream this weekend. If you go to Twitter and search for Board Game Blitz on Twitter. You will find information about the charity stream in our tweets. And you can also find me on Twitter. I am at Crystal Pisano. And I tweet a lot. So if you follow me, just be warned.
She has warned you. So, yes. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I had a lot of fun. It was really cool. And hopefully we'll get together and do this again. And thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And hopefully we'll see you soon. So take care, everybody. Until next time, have a good night and stay safe.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.